All right, guys, we're going to get the meeting started. Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce David Hajec, who's our speaker tonight. A few little notes. We have the sign-in for FMA just for the meeting in general. And we also have the sign-in for Dr. Krause's 461 class, so get that for the credit. And then I have a volunteer sign-up sheet for, I believe these are the open houses. So yeah, sign up for these. We need people for the tables and for the preview for the students Q&A. Jason, you want to give a little shout out?
Yeah, sure. All right, so next Thursday, we'll be having our Financial Planning Association meeting here in Burg 236 at 7:30. And we'll be featuring Timothy Moore from Ameriprise. He's going to speak a little bit about financial advising. And also for the World Campus students out there, we will be broadcasting next week. So be sure to come out next Thursday. Thanks.
All right, and then everybody who's here, Dr. Jeff Coy will be in a little bit through the meeting to talk about the Titan program. So if anybody's interested in that, please stay after and talk to him. Right now, I want to give it over to Frank, who's going to talk a little bit about membership.
All right, so as always, you can, if you want to be a member, go down to the Rub Desk. For this semester only, it's $10. Like I said before, for the year, it's $15. But the national dues recently just added an option for the local chapter dues, as you see up there.
Oh, yeah. Jay, you want to come up and...
Yeah, but first, so starting next semester, you'll be able, you don't even have to have the evening meetings to go down to the Rub Desk. You can just pay the $35 for the year membership of the National Society, which will, actually get you a part of FMA. And then you just choose what the local dues is, and then they will send that money to us, into our chapter, to our club here at Barron, so we can use the money for ourselves. But only this semester, if you want to be a part of it, you're going to pay the $35 for the regular membership for National, and then you're going to have to go down to the Rub Desk and pay the $10. And that's all I got.
I'm Sanjay Maglani, and I'm co-president of Student Managed Fund.
And I'm Natalie Barkley. I'm co-president of the Student Managed Fund.
So basically what we do is we have $250,000 allocated in the markets, and we manage a portfolio for the Inchuri family, for the school donated by the Inchuri family and other fellow alumni. We have about 15 people, 15 lead analysts, and about 10 to 12 associate analysts as well.
It'd be awesome if any of you guys ever want to come to our meetings. They're on Fridays this semester at
12:45.
12:45, and then a couple times it's on Thursdays because none of us can make it. So if you want to get in contact with either of us, we can write our emails down if you want them. But it's an awesome opportunity to get hands-on involvement on analyzing stocks and getting to know a little bit more about how that's done if you're interested. Thanks.
All right, David, if you want to go ahead and take it.
Hi guys, I am going to talk to you today about anti-money laundering and working for the bank, and a little bit about what kind of helped me prepare for job searching and getting a job. So I graduated from Penn State in 2014 in May, with a degree in finance and management. And I also worked in the ACPC, promoting their services and helping students revise resumes, practice interviews, and things to get them prepared. And starting in July 2014, I worked for Northwest as a BSA, AML, SAM specialist. So there's lots of acronyms. BSA stands for Bank Secrecy Act, AML is Anti-Money Laundering, and SAM is Suspicious Activity Monitoring. Quite a mouthful for just one title. But since then, I've been promoted to BSA SAM Investigator 1. So essentially, I'm doing the same thing. I just have a little bit more responsibility. So today, I'm going to talk to you about the field of anti-money laundering and a little bit about money laundering, just to give you guys an understanding of what I do and that there are jobs like this out there, and talk to you about what you can do to prepare. So, what is money laundering? Money laundering is the process that criminals use to take their illicit proceeds and turn them into clean money. So there are 3 stages to money laundering. The first one is placement. This is where they put it into the financial system through deposits, gifts to other people that they deposit. But more so, they try to go through legitimate businesses. So they'll set them up themselves. Kind of like in Breaking Bad, as you can see Walter White there. He processed his money through a car wash, which looks legitimate because it's a cash-intensive business and they can't really tell what he's doing with it at the moment. So he brings it in that way. Or if they don't have business themselves, they try to collaborate with an actual business, and their selling point is really that we can bring you lots of money that you can use to purchase the goods that you need to sell, or the raw materials you need to make the goods, or even for employment themselves. So kind of a way for them to cheat their way into the system and mix their money in with legitimate money to make it look like it's all good. Layering is the next phase. This is like when they bring it into the bank, they will then conduct a bunch of different transactions like wire transfers or ACHs to different banks, either in the United States or internationally. And then when it comes back to their account, it looks like it was just business transactions or essentially clean money. And the third step is integration. This is when, after the money comes back, they use it to buy a house, they use it to buy a nice car, physical goods that they can legitimize their money, and they have essentially cleaned their money so it is free of being accused of criminal proceeds, or it just, now they look like they're good. And they continue to do this process over and over. And it's something that is occurring nationwide and internationally. And my job is kind of there to stop them in the placement stage, because really that is the only place that we can try to accuse them of putting in illegitimate money. But it's pretty hard to prove that, after it's gone through 10 other transactions, that they had it from drug proceeds or something else. So here's just a little flow chart here of what the process is. So as you can see up at the top, they have them collecting the money, they bring it into the bank, and then wire transfers or ACHs to offshore or onshore banks, just to confuse the trail and sort of lose their connection to the money. And then it is transferred back, and they use it to purchase houses, private jets, fancy cars, motorcycles, whatever. Examples of some of these illicit activities that they go through to bring in their money. Structuring, not so much the illegal activity, but it's when they bring it into the bank and there's certain thresholds that they can deposit in a day without being reported on, which that's called a CTR, a currency transaction report. If they deposit more than $10,000 cash, the same person, it could be in a bunch of different accounts, then they're reported on and you take down all their information, and that goes to the IRS so that they can be tracked. So they bring in this money to structure through things such as human trafficking, which is not really a fun subject, but when people get sort of sold or abducted or something to be used in trades of sex trafficking or labor trafficking, so cheap labor. So that is not fun, but it's something we have to look for in our job, and one of the ways that they generate a lot of revenues. So next is drug trafficking, as you can see from the picture here, or from Breaking Bad, Walter White does his drug trafficking. And this is really when they just bring in drugs and sell them and collect the money and bring in the proceeds. It's something that we don't really think that happens too much around here, but just in bigger metropolitan areas. But just, I live in Warren, and that's where Northwest is located, the headquarters. And just last week, or 2 weeks ago, a kingpin was arrested for selling, I think what they said was like 1 to 2 pounds of weed a week, among other drugs. And actually, one of my coworkers had the guy pink for house. So, but I think that what he would do was case the joint too before he would, while he was there painting, because he was calling some of his buddies and saying, yeah, this house is really nice, it's secluded and in a private area that, you know, we could go in there and steal stuff. So they overheard him talking and fired him, and then, you know, months later they find out that he was arrested for drug sales with them. So, and terrorist financing. How many of you guys actually know what terrorist financing is? I got 3 hands. So this is really kind of a tricky one. This is part of, mostly brought about after the 9/11 terrorist attack, because they were finding out that a lot of the money to fund these terrorist acts were coming from nonprofits or other companies in the United States that were ending up funding these terrorist groups. Nonprofits are more subject to it than other businesses, just because they think that they're sending money off of these third world countries or anything, that they're helping them, and in turn that money ends up in the hands of the terrorists. So once again, not so good, but it's something we have to look for. And sometimes I feel a little bad accusing, or trying to make the case that these nonprofits that are attempting to do good things are really doing bad things. And I guess the other objects that we look for are around the bigger areas. We can see some mob involvement or other negative crime rings or arms trafficking or anything else that you can think of that would be illegal that the criminals try to bring in and make it look like they're earning it legitimately. One that we look for that is not nice, and also, again, a crime, is elder financial exploitation, which is when you have a grandparent or a great-grandparent or something who's losing their mind, and you just kind of take advantage of them and take their money. So that one's a little harder to prove, but then the Department of Social Services gets involved, and we go from there and figure out if they were truly abusing the elders or if it was legitimate and they were gifting out the money. So, anti-money laundering, the field that I work in, is a group of procedures, laws, or regulations designed to stop the practice of generating money through illicit means. So, anti-money laundering processes in financial institutions, so banks, there are 2 groups. There's the CDD, DDD, which is customer due diligence, and enhanced due diligence, which they look at the customers themselves. They figure out what these customers make in a year, or what kinds of transactions they're going to be doing, and they have to do a report based on that so that we can kind of expect what they're going to do. And then transaction monitoring, which is what I do, is we have a computer system that is set up to track transactions and generate alerts so that we can look over the activity and figure out if we feel it's suspicious or not, if it's involved in some type of crime. And then it goes through the process of being escalated to a higher up group that reviews it in more detail. And then if they don't like it, then it goes into what they call SARs, which are suspicious activity reports for this activity, and it goes to be looked at by the banks. And if it is bad enough that law enforcement wants to get their hands on it, they call us, and we have to subpoena our records to them so that they can go through with an investigation. With that, recently, there was a case that I was working on with someone that there was one of our customers looked like they were embezzling money from their church. They were a pastor or missions leader or something to that effect, that they were cashing out checks right below the reporting amount frequently. So we looked into it, and they had been doing it for, it was about a year and a half, and they had accumulated $400,000, $500,000 cash from this church account. And we aren't exactly sure what they were using it for, but the FBI and the Postmaster General requested to subpoena the records that we had on this case. So we give it to them, and then we don't hear anything really too much about it until either it ends up in the news or they decide they want to tell us anything. And with this, technology is kind of our double-edged sword because it's good for us because we can use it to our advantage to monitor transactions and try to catch criminals, but it's bad because it gives the criminals more options to remain anonymous and not have any ties to money that they're laundering or switching around through e-cash, currencies like that, Bitcoin or anything, and like prepaid cards. So there's a lot of ways for them to be creative, and I think they take advantage of that. We're not going to go through all of these, but these are just an example of some of the regulations that have been brought in to try to combat anti-money laundering. But one I do want to highlight is the Patriot Act. How many of you guys know what the Patriot Act is? Or if you've heard of it, I guess not so much that you know word for word what it is. It was enacted in October after the 9/11 attacks, really just in an attempt to try to deter people from being involved with terrorism, providing funds to terrorists or anybody who would be committing terrorist-like acts, that they would be punished greater, and that there would be greater repercussions for their involvement in terrorism. And other advisories and regulations are brought to our attention, financial institutions and anybody else, through FinCEN, which is Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. So rather frequently we get directives from them, or they send out things to our financial institutions regarding certain trends in criminal activity or other things that we should be looking out for. Like coming up soon is tax refund time. There's people that commit tax refund fraud, and ways that we can figure that out is if they get the ACH credits in from the tax from the treasury. Sometimes it gets put in their account, but it's meant for somebody else. So they file multiple tax returns. So certification in this field, like the CFP or CFA certifications. This one is called the CAMS, which is Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialist. And it may sound like it's just for financial institution employees, but it's not. Others that have it, like the president of the ACAMS Foundation, is a lawyer. So lawyers, law enforcement, fiduciaries, anybody with fiduciary responsibility, even if they don't get certified, it's good for them to know what sorts of things to look out for. Anybody here want to be a financial planner or advisor? So we'll say, for example, that somebody comes in with a lot of money and they want to start an investment account with you. There are certain tip-offs that you would know that they're not really so much interested in the investment portion of it. They're just interested in putting their money in so it looks like it's clean. So then if they ask about early cancellation fees or early cancellation, or don't really have any concern about fees or anything like that, those are some items to look out for that they might be trying to just legitimize their money. Casinos. A lot of money goes through casinos, so it's a good place to start and a good place for people to understand what different types of money laundering schemes might be like, because millions of dollars just seem like pennies to some casinos, and they can just bring it in and come out with that much or more, even through the casinos. And car sales. A lot of times drugs are associated with car sales, or it's just that they're also cash intensive, so it's hard to tell if really all their money is coming from car sales or if there's other stuff involved. So really all of these areas are good to know, different money laundering regulations, so that you can help combat it or understand it. And these are just other certifications related to anti-money laundering. There's the Association of Certified Financial Crime Specialists, which they look into the actual crime and the things that generate the illicit money. There's the CRCM, which is the compliance managers in banks. They look at the overall compliance of the bank and the programs and the accounts that they offer, and see what kind of loopholes criminals might be trying to utilize. And as we already mentioned before, the CAMs. So I've gone through a little bit about my job. It's interesting. Does anybody have any questions about that? Has anybody ever thought of doing something like that? Or did I just explain it so well that everybody completely understands? Yes.
I have one question. Do you have to prove the crime to prove money laundering? So you have to tie the crime to money laundering for it to stick, or you just forward money only and then still get on money?
That's kind of where all of the other enforcement agencies or other financial institutions come in because, for example, my bank could have been just one part of the crime and like we're just getting some of the money. If we see activity that's suspicious and we think that it could be tied to something more and we can file a good enough case for it, then law enforcement might take it and they may be also receiving the same information from different financial institutions. So it's pretty hard to say that they were just using our bank to filter their money in, but a lot of the times it's just one small piece because they don't want to just put all their eggs in one basket because if that goes down, then we lose everything. So a lot of times one bank is just one part of it. And we can't really tie the crime to what they're doing. That's where the law enforcement comes in. Because they'll investigate the people further through subpoenas or warrants or anything like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Kind of?
I guess I have to find out about what it's going to like.
Great. Sadly, I can't offer too much because I, at my level, don't get to work with law enforcement really at all. So. Anybody else?
Can you talk about the prospects for people if they ran into a career like that? You know, how many, where are they, and how difficult is it to get into an area like that?
Well, with all of the different ways that people are trying to criminalize and make money that way, it's been on the up and up, especially since 2001 here in America. I know that when I applied for the job, there was, I think, 2 people in the AML department at the bank, and now there's 20, and we're still looking for some more. So I know just from my bank, it's still growing, and overall, as a trend, I believe it's still growing. And there's banks all over. There's big banks, there's small banks. They're all looking for ways to beef up their compliance and anti-money laundering programs at the bank. So I don't have any exact numbers of where it is, but I know for sure it is on the up and up, and that finding a job in that field, if you are interested, wouldn't be anything difficult. Anyone else? Yeah.
What are like the different levels of, I guess, your position? So because yours says like BSA, somebody thinks
Investigator
that,
1.
yeah, investigator 1.
So they just did a restructuring of the department, but before it was specialist, analyst, and then investigator. But now they changed it to specialist, investigator 1, and investigator 2. So essentially, specialist and investigator 1 do the same thing. Like we are doing the preliminary review of transactional activity that gets processed through the system. So we just look into it to see if it's something that should be looked into further. And then if we feel that way, we send it to the investigator 2s, who they do a more thorough investigation. They look at the activity that from, we can say like a year or so ago, a year or 2 more, or something like that, and go up until current. And they look further into it to see if this is something that's been going on, or if it was a one-time thing, or you know, for some reason, people like to give out gifts of cash that are 10,000, 20,000, something like that. So we look into that cash. I wish I knew somebody would give me $20,000, but I'm at the base level of it, and then the investigators take it and they bring it to management, and they decide if we need to file the SAR, the Citrus Activity Report, on the transactions, on the activity the customer is doing. And then after, I think it's a 90-day period after the SAR is filed, they look over the activity again to see if it's continued or if it's stopped. And then based on their feelings and talking more with management and the SAR committee, they decided to continue filing SARs and we don't send it to law enforcement. If they see something and they know that the customer thinks of us and like they can have access to our SAR files and things, then they'll contact us and tell us if they need the files. Does that answer your question, or I ran?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's just so much to it. Like your job description's like acronyms. So I mean, I guess
Yeah.
it's just like really expensive, and there's a lot in it that I didn't really know about. So
The job is full of acronyms, the whole industry is, so, I'm still learning too. I mean, the only way that you can really, all the stuff you can find on the internet, you can't really find banks policies or anything on the internet, but you can find anti-money laundering or this kind of stuff all on the internet. It's available for public knowledge because they want people to be educated. They can't really hide this information from them. You ever feel like giving them around? Yeah. Yes.
So when you start working with someone, are they informed that you want that?
No, we don't want them to do that because then they might close out their
Yeah,
accounts. or
obviously,
they might-
like, it's kind of like-
Right. Because a lot of, we rely a lot on the branch personnel because they're the ones that interact with customers on a daily basis. So if we see these large transactions and we want to ask them, we hope that they're keeping notes or that they are keeping tabs on these customers. Because if they come in and they say, hey, I don't want to be filed on or reported on or anything, have paperwork done on my transactions, that's something good for us to know because we know that they're trying to just structure and straight up avoid legal regulations. So when we talk to them, we make sure that we send them a confidentiality statement that says, do not let them know that we're asking. You can ask them, but don't let them know that they're being looked at.
I think that's-
Good. Anybody else have anything else? And as we're going through, if you guys do have questions, just stop me or raise your hand or something, and I'll answer them as best as I can. So now we're going to move on to things that I have learned that have helped me prepare for searching for a job, getting ready for an internship, or something to that effect. How many of you guys are seniors looking for a job? Or if you're not looking for a job, anybody looking for an internship? So things that you need to understand and make well so that you can make a strong impression for yourself are resumes and cover letters. So those are the things that are going to get you into an interview. Networking can also be good because that'll allow you to know more people in more areas, and sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. Job searching tools, other ways that you can look for jobs, and you need to prepare for that interview after the job search and resumes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these, and if you guys have any questions, stop. So we're going to start with the resumes and cover letters. Formatting is a big thing with resumes. If your resume is skewed with information all over and it's not consistent all the way through, and you have different font sizes, different bullet sizes for all the same information, they're going to look at you and think that you know how to be organized and that you can't keep things consistent, and it doesn't really look good for you if you're trying to get a job somewhere. Grammar and conventions. If you don't spell things right, if you do not use proper terminology, those things will deter employers from wanting to hire you. It's one of the basic things you learn, grammar and conventions all throughout your life, so apply proper ones to your resumes and still think you look professional. Consistency, as we talked about before, you're keeping title font sizes the same throughout each topic. If you underline things, make sure that all of the similar topics are underlined, and font size. Action or descriptive words, when you are talking about topics on your resume, like if you have a project or if you have skills that you're outlining, don't just say, like this one has on here, I'm good at stuff. Tell them why you're good at that stuff. Why, if you're going for an analyst job, what sorts of analyzing data that you have, what sorts of financial background do you have, what sorts of skills have you developed, and be specific because these resumes are supposed to be giving me a good impression to the employer. So, and the cover letter. Before they get to know you, they have to look at your resume and cover letter, and this is really your first impression. You try to impress them. You try to think that you are somebody that is worth their time for the job. So, if you do a resume and cover letter well, then you will be off to a good start, and I mean, that's always, you always want to be off on the right foot. Networking. LinkedIn. How many of you guys have LinkedIn? Can you say it's useful or not? Or have you guys not had too much impact with it? Yeah. I know that for me so far, I've been out of school for almost 2 years. I actually recently had somebody that wanted to network with me looking for somebody to help them fill jobs in my field that work for different financial institutions. So if you, once you gather the experience or you are a little more established in a field, you can, people will network with you, or if you go to networking events, job fairs, for instance, that's ways for you to talk to more people, get your name out there, look for jobs that you would be interested in, or internships, and networking events. How many of you guys went to the fall career fair? Anybody have any luck? Did you find anything you liked? Anybody contact you back? All right. So, I don't want to say anything because I don't know any of you, but I mean, there could be multiple reasons that they didn't contact you, or they're still waiting for you because you're still in school. So, a lot of times you don't get an internship while you're in school, especially if it's someplace that's far away. And all of those were networking, and there's networking in everyday life. You never know who you're going to turn up talking to. The CEO of a company could be riding the elevator with you, and in that instance, you want to have, what's that called, your elevator pitch ready? You guys know what that is? Okay. Okay. I mean, seriously, you just never know who you're going to end up running into. In that time period that I didn't have a job, from May till July, I was stacking lumber at a lumber mill over the summer. And when I applied for this job, it so happens that my boss's wife, my boss's lumber mill, his wife, is the head of the department that I work in now. So when I told him that I applied, he had mentioned it to her, and then in turn, it got me a chance to go in for an interview. So really, you just never know who's going to be able to help you get your foot in the door. Job searching. You guys ever used Indeed.com before? Easy, right? All you do is put in the job you're looking for, and even an area. So you could do financial planning in where would you want to work? Pittsburgh. I was going to say that, but financial planning in Pittsburgh, and they would offer, or they would post jobs that are in that area for that field, or in surrounding areas, and it's just a good way to kind of look and see what's out there. You can really do that for any job. So it's a great tool. I used it a lot when I was searching for jobs. Knitting Line Career Network, you guys use that? You know what it is? It's a great tool, isn't it? Because it gives you jobs all over the place, and a lot of the alumni will help you with jobs and putting jobs on there, so that a lot of times there are people to contact for the companies that are putting on the jobs. Glassdoor. Who knows what Glassdoor is? Way for you to look at a company with employee reviews. They'll sometimes put salaries in there for jobs, and you can kind of see what people think of their employers. You'll see negative reviews, you'll see positive reviews. I would take both of them with a grain of salt because everybody's preferences are different, but at least it gives you a variety of responses that people have for what they think of their job, employer, the area they work in. And once again, job fairs. That's another place to search for jobs. So you see what kind of companies are going to be there. You go and talk to them and see what opportunities they have, and then who knows, it could lead in. Company research. While you're searching for jobs, if there's certain companies you want to work for, you want to make sure you understand them. Or if you've applied to jobs, you want to make sure you understand them as well. Figure out what they do, what kinds of services or things they offer, and go from there. And if you do get called in for the interview, it makes for good talking points and good questions for you to ask them, because then they'll know that you put in the extra effort to try to learn about them before you even started possibly working for them. Oh, the dreaded interviews. How do you guys feel about interviews? It's like public speaking, but worse because your chance of getting a job are on the line. So, some tips for interviews. You want to dress and groom appropriately. This dress, for me, might be okay, but you might want to shave your facial hair. You want to go in and look clean, sharp, make it look like you care. I'm not saying that people who have facial hair don't care, but it just makes it look a little more convincing because some people probably grow nice facial hair. Man buns, those are probably out. So just look normal, I guess, so to say, because a good appearance is going to match with your professional persona you put on the resume and interview or phone interview or anything like that. When you're there, have copies of your resumes or any certain projects you might be highlighting to give them specific examples of some skills that you have or things that you've developed while working on these projects. And it's always good to have the resumes because they may not bring it on the off chance, or if they bring in other people and you have to give out more resumes if they don't have one, then panel interviews are really fun too. So not only do you have to make sure you're talking to the person that answers the question, but keeping the other people engaged, because if you don't, they're going to be bored. As I said, provide specific examples. When they ask you questions about, let's see, tell me about yourself, that's one of the favorite questions. Or if they ask you for a time where something really pushed you or made you have to overcome some certain trials, you want to give a specific example and not just say, well, yeah, I did this the one time and it was tough. Because, detail is important when you're trying to promote yourself. Research the company. There you go. That's good points for asking questions. And it gives you a little better understanding of the company. And it may even be able to help you tailor your answers to or your responses to their questions to be more for what the job you're doing or what the company does. So all of these things will play into your overall professionalism and the appearance that you give to them and overall attractiveness of you as an employer. And ask the questions. If you don't ask any questions, they're going to think that you don't really want to be there. That you're not interested in their company, you're just there because you want to try to get a job. Not so much that you care where it's at or that you actually like the company. And sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way. All right. Now, after you've done all this good stuff to get your job, there are some things that you should and should not do when you have your job. If you say something in the interview, live up to it. Don't. If you say that you're really, you have a good drive, a good initiative to take on new projects or take on new things, make sure you do that when you have your job. Don't just sit around and try not to get noticed, because then they're going to wonder why they hired you if you aren't even, or if you lied to them about the things that you were telling them. So being consistent from interview to post-interview and job, that is something that you need to do. Help out where you can. Take on those new projects. Always be willing to learn, better yourself. Don't just, again, sit at your desk in that little comfort zone and do nothing outside of what they just expect you to do. Take part in outside activities. At Northwest, they want you to be sort of philanthropic, take part in charities, clubs, organizations around the area, do things to better your community, because it's positive advertisement for the company itself, and that would be for most any company that I know of. I know that in my time at Northwest, there's been opportunities to help raise funds for Salvation Army, Alzheimer's, breast cancer, local organizations that they offer mud runs, paint runs, polar plunges, things like that. There's all kinds of activities for you to take part in that will help you get to know people in the area, other people you work with, and just to get out in the community. Better yourself. If there's certain designations that you can achieve in your job that will help you seem more distinguished, help you gain a better grasp of what you're doing, I would recommend taking those because it shows that you do have the initiative. It allows you to gain further knowledge and eventually set yourself up for better things. Don't be that guy. Now, some people may beg to differ that it's good. You could be the donut guy, you could be the pizza guy, whatever, somebody that always brings in something, but there are some negative of those guys that you can be. You could be the complainer, you could be the bare minimum guy. I would go there, do what you can to help, but don't brown nose. I think that's personally a little, for lack of a better word, trashy. But if you go there and do your job and you just work as hard as you can every day and find something that you enjoy, I think it'll be easy for you to succeed and keep your job and have the option to climb the ladder. That is all that I have. I'm glad that nobody nodded off. Does anybody have any questions? This is my contact information. If anybody wants to learn more about the field, has questions about just anything in general from this intern searching and job searching phase, or even if it's school related, and I'm more than willing to try to help out where I can. That's all I have. You guys are lucky.
Well, thank you, David.
Thanks, I got it. Just real quick, want to let you know that at 7 o'clock in the same room, the Investment Research Challenge team is going to be presenting their evaluation of Dick's Sporting Goods. So we'll be broadcasting it over YouTube as well. The team is going to be competing in the competition against 7 other area universities on February the 29th. The winner of that competition in Pittsburgh will be going on to the Americas competition, which is going to be taking place in Chicago in April. So the team has probably put in between 200 and 300 hours getting ready for this competition. So they basically turn in a 10-page analyst report and then an unlimited number of appendices, but they'll be going down and competing for that at Rivers Club in Pittsburgh. So we'll be cheering them on. So 7 o'clock in here, they're going to present what they're going to be doing down in Pittsburgh. So hope you guys can stay for that event as well. And we thank you so much for coming by. So, thank you.
Thank you.